I'm Golden.
Golden Pony Boy?
Golden Pony Boy. Say Golden Pony Boy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 207. Shit, I had a nickname yesterday, and I was like, I got a golden one, and now it's gone.
I'm in the same boat. I had a good one too.
I'm the bouncing Travis Snell.
Wow. I am the a fish in sea. A fish in the sea. Taylor Field.
Oh wow, dropping spoilers.
A fish in the sea. I don't know. That's not really spoilers. I'd say that's a tough one. Even I didn't get that until after Madison told me.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GeekVerse podcast. This is double dose this week, 2 episodes. Just like next week, you're getting 2 episodes. Even though I'm trying to get Slenderman tickets, and they have yet to post any showings on the Grand.
I thought you were gonna say they were sold out.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard. They have yet to post any on Grand 10 or Plaza 5 yet. The movies should be up Friday, and nothing yet. No showtimes.
Have you gotten Meg tickets yet?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get mine.
Yeah, but so next week, Slenderman and Meg reviews, check that out. But this week again, 2 reviews for the price of 1. Thank you, or 2 episodes for the price of 1. Thank you for checking out this week's episode, our newscast. It was a bit more serious one where we talked about James Gunn, but go check it out. That's our biggest episode since what did I say? It was since our solo review. So thank you for that. That's May. So thank you for that. Obviously a hot button issue. So go back and listen to that. Head over to Patreon. Big shout out to Greg, upped his Patreon and gave a little bit more of the $3 tier, so thank you very much. You're going to get some good stuff there coming soon. We got Star Wars, Clone Wars Retro that you'll probably get an episode around next week, the very first one, so if you want to test that out. And yeah, I don't know what else is happening in the near future, but just great, good stuff, Taylor?
Oh, it's always a great time, a good time. There's always something for everyone,
I'm not going to agree with that. I don't know if our podcast has something for everyone, but it's something for a lot of people.
I think so. I mean, for like the...
What do the anime fans have for our podcast right now?
Anime?
Yeah.
Well, they got the Godzilla,
Damn
it. I don't know if that was a test or what you're going for with that.
Kind of.
I mean, anime, they got the Godzilla anime, and if they want something a little bit extra, like animation stuff, they got Spider-Man retrospective for some animation.
Yeah, you gotta go to Patreon for that one.
We got everything from like romance to action to horror.
Romance?
Yeah.
What's the last romantic movie we reviewed?
Blade 2.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But action, adventure, horror, there's the Jigsaw and all that stuff. I was reading an article actually that apparently Kevin McAllister could be linked to being Jigsaw.
No, that's not.
Did you read that article?
No, I didn't, because it's not a real thing.
Oh, damn. I read it actually earlier when I was waiting to pick you up.
Well, you know what I was waiting for? Christopher Robin. Ever since I saw the teaser, ever since I saw or heard that Ian McGregor was getting cast. So if you've not listened to a GeekVerse review before, what we'll do is we're going to give you the non-spoilers. We'll give you a warning before we get into spoilers, and then we're going to get into the film and the nitty-gritty. It's not, there's not no Star Wars or Marvel where you got to worry so much about spoilers. So I still think this is a movie, honestly. You could listen through the spoiler section and still go see it and enjoy yourself. I think it's more about the journey and the adventure these characters go on. So Taylor, I will give you the floor. What did you think about Christopher Robin?
I mean, the trailers didn't get me super overly excited. I mean, that being said, I do like Winnie the Pooh. I think he's an awesome character with awesome friends and stories. Was he a big part of my childhood growing up? No, he wasn't. I'm not gonna lie, but I still had respect for people. Enjoyed him. He existed.
Was he not a big part because you didn't see many of his films, or you didn't like Winnie the Pooh?
I liked Winnie the Pooh. I just didn't see many of his films. I never got the chance.
Okay.
But I know that there are a couple live action tellings of A.A. Milnes. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the author, and from what I know, I think his story is cool because I'm pretty sure he was a veteran of war, and he connected with, I think, a real bear at some point, and he wrote the character Winnie the Pooh, which I think is awesome. I think the whole idea behind it is really neat. But anyways, that being said, I wanted to still see the movie, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is fantastic.
Only 5 minutes in, we get Obi-Wan Kenobi reference. I was wondering what was going to happen, because really Obi-Wan has no relevance here other than Ewan McGregor has played him. He has a name, you don't got to call him
Ewan
Obi-Wan.
McGregor. He is absolutely fantastic in this film. I think he knows how to bring what character he's been tasked with acting as to life.
What other movies have you seen him in?
other movies I've seen him in.
Yeah, other than Star Wars.
What was it? Am I thinking The Island?
Okay.
Yeah, and there was one more I've seen him in. It was a Musketeers movie.
Three Musketeers?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he was in a Musketeers movie. And
Big Fish? Have you seen Big Fish?
No, I haven't seen Big Fish.
No,
Yeah.
continue. You just made it sound like you're a big connoisseur of Ewan McGregor movies, but you know.
Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan Kenobi movies very much.
Yeah, there's three of those.
But yeah, no, he's so good at taking his character Christopher Robin and just portraying and putting out to the audience, you know, like just making you feel like this is him. And just like his connections and relations with all the characters in this movie are just really fleshed out well, and he makes you believe and get attached to him on this journey and these problems that arise in the film, and you feel for him. That's something that, I mean, as far as so many actors go, I don't feel like actors do a phenomenal job all the time at making you feel.
Not even some actors, just actors, just the whole lot.
There's some actors that can do it. They're definitely out there,
Okay.
and you know, depending on the theme of the movie, that helps as well. But sometimes the theme and everything they're going for just doesn't work. The actor doesn't deliver on it. But you know, Ewan McGregor, he does justice.
You've been saying that a lot lately.
Does justice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Don't
justice.
need to keep pounding that fist. Getting weird now. Yeah, so I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. Obviously, there was a big controversy earlier this year when I was a little mad that they didn't cast me for this movie because I thought, you know, this is a movie they should have waited till I was in the business. But no, this idea of the movie was phenomenal. I am someone that's a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. I've seen probably all the animated movies at some point in my life. I've read the stories here and there, but I'm not a big book reader, so sorry. But yeah, love Winnie the Pooh. He's up there, Toy Story, kind of Monsters Inc. He's probably my top 5 like favorite like childhood, you know, characters and whatnot. He's still one of my. I don't know if he's in my top. He's probably not in my top 10 fictional characters now, but he's still up there. He's top 50 for sure. I love Winnie the Pooh. I love that he is just always just this definition of good and good-hearted and do-gooder. You know I'm using the word good, but that's just what he is. You look at Pooh and there's just nothing wrong with him. You know, yeah, he's a little oblivious sometimes to some stuff he might be doing in order to get honey. But so I'm a huge fan my whole life. My daughter was actually Winnie the Pooh for her first Halloween, so there you go. So this film, I loved the idea of it when I heard it. Big fan of Ewan McGregor. He's just, you know, I'll give it to Taylor. He's good in pretty much everything. I've seen the Three Musketeers movie he's talking about, but I'm sure he's good. But I think there's just certain actors that, doesn't not bring him down. I don't think he's like one of these, like, Marlon Brando, Sean Penn. I think he's one of the greatest actors of all time. But he's somebody that is, to me, hard to find a bad performance in, and that's a lot to say. So the ideas sound great. It's very similar to not Finding Neverland. What is Hook? It's very similar to that. I was a big fan of that. I know some people don't like that movie. Maybe it's because I grew up with it, but I've watched it at this age, and I still think it's one of Spielberg's best movies. I love it. And the plot of this movie, you've seen the trailers. It's very simple. It has been done before, so I can give people that maybe throw some cons against it that way. It's a guy who's out of touch with his personal life and his family life, and his childhood, and that happens when we're grown-ups. But he's so out of touch with it that he's forgotten about it. He pushed it to the side because the idea of playing or even being a child has no sort of space in this life. So this movie, I was expecting just to have a good time with it. When I saw the previews, I thought it would just be him and Pooh on some adventures with the friends, everything like that. And that does happen, and that's really fun. But I think what really caught me off guard is that it's a pretty, like, emotional at times, trying to be deep. And they don't go super deep. I don't think it's something like Mystic River, but it's deeper than I was expecting. It kind of reminds me similar to when I saw Black Panther. And it's like, oh, I'm just expecting, like, a really good superhero, cool movie. And then it took a different layer with, like, the racism angle. This took a different angle where, and this is minor spoilers, but like I said, I don't think I'm killing the hype for Christopher Robin, but they show the very first scene in this movie is him as a child, and then they progress and they show him growing up, and then they cut to, which I thought was gonna be awkward. They cut to him in World War II, I think it was, and they're literally, like, you don't see people dying on screen, but they're implying people are dying. You see a building gets exploded. There's gunshots everywhere, and there's this thing where Christopher Robin hasn't even met his own child. He went off to war and he comes back, and they set the groundwork well. For him being out of touch with his childhood and out of touch with Pooh and all that. And I was caught quite off guard about how adult it was. And I think for some people, maybe they won't like that because maybe it's too adulty or maybe it doesn't connect. Because at times, the film does go from really jokey to fun to really dramatic and serious. But for me, I found that it did that pretty flawlessly. Like, I was never like, oh, this is jarring. The war scene was jarring, but that was just because it was the first time I was like not expecting there to be an explosion or gunfire in Winnie the Pooh. You know, I was not expecting that at all. I was just expecting, because even in Hook, like, Hook has adult moments. I think they're more sexual moments, like with Tinkerbell, so it's kind of weird. But like, there's not much actual like violence in that movie right off the bat. Like, it's still pretty kid oriented. Where this felt like it was almost made for people like myself or even older, of people that grew up with Winnie the Pooh. And yeah, it's not like the fucking Dark Knight. It's not like super dark and there's not Heath Ledger in some interrogation room. But it took a twist that I was not expecting as far as being a bit more grown up and a bit more of a character study on Christopher Robin. Like I said, it doesn't get super deep, but to me it got deep enough that I liked it. All the characters are fleshed out really well as far as, I guess I shouldn't say fleshed out well, but they're all represented well as far as like Tigger or Eeyore or Pooh. They all feel like those characters. Christopher Robin's relationship with all of them independently, for the most part, is great, because there's a couple characters like Myers Boys against like Rabbit and Owl. Like, they're not in it too much, but the characters that he is in it with a lot, you see differences of their relationship, so it's not just him with a bunch of stuffed animals. They looked great for the most part. I think there were some times in London where they looked a little more CGI in the real world, but everything's in the Acre Woods, the 100 Acre Woods, looked phenomenal. The opening scene of this movie is, I think, I'd have to think about it. I think it's the most beautiful scene in the movie I've seen this year, of them just having, you know, picnic and everything like that. And the effects on them are really good as far as they look kind of fakey, but they still look stuffy. So, like, they look like stuffies where they have a nose and then you can tell, like, almost little furs falling off and whatnot. And they looked real at some moments. It was crazy. Like, it looked like they almost used animatronics or something like that. And the way this movie shot at times, like, there's one moment where Pooh and Christopher Robin in the beginning of the movie, they're walking through this field, and they're showing, like, Pooh's, like, touching the flowers, and they're shooting, like, through different, like, trees and whatnot. They really made it feel like the 100 Acre Woods was a character, and they do that several times in the movie, but there's so many times in this movie where, like, little stuff like when Pooh was walking through the tree, they, like, zoomed in on his feet to show him walking through the mud and the leaves. Like, there's the cinematography in this movie I thought was beautiful. Like, they really fleshed out these fake characters and a fake world to make it all feel real. And that was the thing that took me off guard, is like, it almost felt like an independent movie in the way it was shot. It did not feel like a Hollywood blockbuster. It felt like a very personal movie, and that's why I like it. And yeah, I have to think about it. I've not looked at all we've reviewed this year, and I have things like Deadpool and Black Panther, Infinity War, so I always come in with a little bit of bias. And I guess I have a little bias because of this with Winnie the Pooh, but I think it's my favorite film of the year. I don't know if that's past Black Panther and Infinity War. I'd have to watch them all back to back, because Infinity War is tough to call because it's like, without those other movies it wouldn't be as good. Black Panther maybe, but this might be up there with them or even a little bit above them, because I just love every minute of it. It's sweet, it's charming, it's really, really funny, especially if you are, not even just the funny part, but there's tons of Easter eggs to old stuff, and there's just great shout outs, and Pooh is phenomenal in this movie. Like, you know, he's probably one of the main characters, so it makes sense, but everything they just do right. It feels like this movie's handled with a lot of care, and the people really cared about Winnie the Pooh. And it reminds me a lot of, maybe that's why I like it, it reminds me a lot of Force Awakens, where there's a lot of fan service, a lot of shout outs, but for me it was not too much. It was a right balance, and yeah, there's just tons of Easter eggs, and it feels like it's that world all grown up, and yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I absolutely love this movie. It's a movie I'll be seeing again and again. I cried multiple times. I cried in the first 5 minutes. I was getting hit with up, and it's, like I said, it's a lot more emotional. Even stuff they do with Pooh is, there's some like kind of like, you know, sad things, you know, like no one's getting killed off in this movie, but you know, some very emotional moments. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy Christopher Robin, much more than I thought. Because I just thought I was going in for a good time, and that was about it. So, like I said, we'll get into spoilers. Like I said, I don't think there's too much to go into, but so yeah, if you do not want to be spoiled at all anymore, this is your chance. So,
Taylor, where would you like to start with this film?
You know, starting off, I'm just gonna piggyback on something you kind of touched upon. The fact that this movie definitely felt like it was, you know, for people like older and that sort of stuff, not necessarily like younger kids. I definitely think that this movie you know, coinciding with people that have grown up, that were young and enjoyed Winnie the Pooh, that have grown up and are into adulthood now, that have kind of just let go and are just caught up in day-to-day things. Like, for me, this movie made me want to legit quit my job and just rethink so many different things. And I think it does a very good job of doing that, because it's like you can relate yourself to Christopher Robin in that show, even though it's a different time frame and setting and experience.
Yeah.
There's still that, to his core, there is still that similar situation that everyone can relate to. As we've all grown up and we've all, you know, gone through like working and different things, loss of, you know, loved ones and that sort of stuff. And I think it's just a good reminder to kind of reconnect to certain things that made us happy when we were younger, or that sort of stuff. And don't let go would be the moral of what I'm going for. But then as for starting somewhere in the movie, I feel like it'd be good to start with like the dark tones that they had to it, because I mean it was at times like very, very dark, like, and the 100 Acre Wood especially, how I took it as, you know, you said it was kind of like a character in itself. I feel like it was just a good reflection of Christopher Robin's mind and what he was going through.
Yeah.
Every time it was really foggy and got more foggier, the more frustrated he was getting. And it felt like the transition.
Should have never trusted you with a compass. It's not the exact line, but like the banter they have is great.
Yeah. He felt completely, what was I gonna say? That moment where it transitioned, where he was in the woods and he was all alone. Like, even when he was walking with Pooh through the woods, it felt like eerie and a little uneasy. But then as soon as Pooh was gone, even in the theater, you just get this sense of just being alone, and it just felt really nerve-wracking. And that huffalump, is that how you call it?
Yeah.
Started like trumpeting or bellowing or whatever, like out in the distance. It was like, well, this is like really terrifying. I got pretty alarmed and kind of anxious too. Yeah, I think the dark undertones of that film were really, really good with 100 Acre Wood, and even when Pooh woke up and his friends were all gone, and you just get this sense of being alone.
Yeah. Well, no, I would agree, because that's the times where they really hit on the heartstrings stuff. Like, yeah, when he was alone, he was looking for everybody, and that's, like I said, stuff I wasn't really expecting in this movie. I was just expecting it to just be kind of fun joyride, because even the stuff that, like I said, okay, so it does have that war scene, and then when he gets back, I like the way that, for me, I was worried it was going to be a little over the top, but I like the way, hey, he was so stern with his wife and his daughter, and it wasn't even a way where he was a complete asshole. He just didn't even, he was so oblivious. I said that earlier, but I'll use it again. He was so oblivious to what was going on. Like, the daughter clearly doesn't want to go to school, and he is trying to read her this like history lesson book and everything, and that was great. And I think maybe it is a little, I guess some people could say it might be a little heavy-handed as far as like it hits you over the head with like, oh, you know, get it, like he's not understanding that, like, that his family's unhappy and whatnot. But it just seems like he is, to me, so caught up in the world and what is going on in his life, and he's just trying to provide. Like, they do a good job of establishing that, of, you know, him saying, hey, I'm trying to build towards the future so we can have a life, and she's, oh, hey, Atwell's character says, oh, your life's happening right now. Like, there are some good moments that, to me, they like I said, I don't know. I didn't find it too heavy-handed. I could see why some people might say that. I might say it was too much as far as, like, it was really obvious, like, oh, you know, classic, like, set and whatnot. So I guess if you had that complaint, I could see that. But for me, it all worked. It all felt pretty natural. I think that's because the actors, I think other people could maybe not do the greatest job with it, but it all felt good. I liked the work relationship that he had and everything like that. I actually liked the humor in the workplace. It was, like, very dry British humor. Yeah, so to me, I liked the setup. I liked the stuff with his daughter, especially. I thought they had a good back and forth. They don't even have that many scenes together, but for what they did do, I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think where to go next, because I had a place and then I was gone.
What was Christopher Robin's wife? Was that Agent Carter?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Why did you need to confirm that? You didn't think you knew on your own?
No, I've just been thinking about this whole crazy just fan theory right now, where
no.
you know, the war. Captain America gets frozen, she moves off and finds Christopher Robin, they get married, and that's her husband at the beginning of Avengers. She crazy fan theory.
Yeah, I think that's a crazy fan theory. Cap. But yeah, so I'm trying to is there any place you want to go next? So they had a place and I completely forgot where I was
go. I think maybe just tackling the characters, like starting with
Sure.
you know, either start with the Pooh himself or just build up to the big bear,
This
barely
must be
brain.
this must be stress. No, I'm Pooh. There's some good lines. Yeah, with Pooh, I like that. So the last scene we get together of them as a kid is them saying goodbye, and that to me, it was super sad, super well done. I didn't like what the kid was wearing, but other than that, that's I guess a British thing with the outfit was kind of weird. But I like that. Okay, so they split apart. Chris Robin said he's never gonna forget him, and then he tries not to forget Pooh, but then there's constant things like his life is out of getting away,
whacking the ruler
or the
down.
teacher whacking the ruler down, which causes the picture of Pooh to go away. So he was trying to remember and keep Pooh in his life, but life happens, and then obviously we were touched upon that earlier with Christopher Robin being busy, and then he goes to war and everything like that. And even then, like they didn't talk about it specifically, but it seems like they kind of made it that hey, like also after war, life was a bit tougher for him, and that's a very common thing, PTSD, things like that. So they didn't touch upon that too much. So that's why I liked when we do meet Pooh and Christopher Robin again when they have their meeting. I think the scene's great when he's making him be the cat and everything like that. But I like that there is quite a build up to them being friends and Robin being, friendly with them again. The movie's only about an hour 40 minutes, so it's not a long build up, but it's not like an instant, oh hey, they're back to being friends, which that's what I kind of thought the movie was going to be. I thought you'd have your classic, hey, this isn't happening, and then, oh, good times aboard, but he multiple times tries to kind of get rid of Pooh, not in a mean way, just in like, he needs to move on with his life and do his things, and then when I like that they show the struggle of, okay, he goes to the tree, okay, he can't let Pooh go in alone. When he does give him the compass and he gets them lost and everything like that, and Pooh's like, oh, these feet seem familiar. Like, yes, there are feet. The banter they had back and forth, or when he was on the train and stuff, like, be quiet, and Pooh just like, they had really, really good banter. I could watch an entire, like, buddy cop movie of just those two going at it. And I do wonder, I'd like to see behind the scenes. I'm not sure what they used as far as for Ewan McGregor to bounce off of in the movie, because I imagine Pooh is all animated. Maybe they literally just put a bear there, but I am wondering, because it doesn't come off as awkward. There's only one shot in the movie where Chris Robin puts his arm over Pooh and it looked a little unnatural, but other than that, they had great chemistry, and I like that Pooh, he's so nice, but he does almost like eventually give up on Christopher Robin in a little way, and I like that both characters do have these mini arcs. Like I said, it's not a long movie. Chris Robin has a bigger arc. Pooh, I guess, doesn't have too much of an arc that didn't change that much, but he goes through some stuff and he's kind of questioning, like, oh, maybe, that line when he says, like, oh, did you let me go? Heartbreaking, you know? So, and the rest of the characters are really good. I don't think they get too much of a shine. Tigger gets to be really, they all get their moments. I guess I shouldn't say they get their shine, but Tigger gets to just kind of be the comedic relief. Piglet has some good moments. I didn't love Piglet's voice. I didn't like that almost all the characters had to be British. I get because they were in Britain, but if it wasn't the classic like Eeyore, Pooh, and Tigger that have these very distinctive voices, to me they're all British, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I actually think Piglet's voice in the animated stuff is really distinctive, so I wish they went a bit more that route. But they kept with him being this bashful, like, kind of scared and nervous, awkward sort of guy all the time, and always afraid to do things, but Pooh is just egging him on. Eeyore is great. There's like a section of the film where it's just Christopher Robin and Eeyore, and Eeyore multiple times steals this movie, and like that's a classic Eeyore thing. And then as far as the wife and the daughter, Madeline, I can't remember the wife's name, maybe I'll look it up, but they were good, but they're not in it that much. I think Hayley Atwell does a good job with all the scenes she's in. Like, she portrays being frustrated and upset with her husband, not in a way of giving up or just being mean about it, because sometimes because she brings a good point. Sometimes it's the writing thing too. When these characters are busy with their jobs, they can just make women or men that are the husband or wife at home just seem very bossy or just very mean, in the sense of like, hey, well, this guy is trying to work and make a living for you, and you're giving him a hard time. But yeah, I think they did a good job with the human characters, and all the 100 Acre characters I think did a phenomenal job for the most part. Like I said, a little issue with some voices here and there, but other than that, and the office people were all alright. I liked the neighbor, it was...
Oh, the neighbor.
Yeah, except that joke did not hit our theater at all. Like, because that happens a lot with him wanting to play Jim Rummy, and not like a single laugh every time he was on the screen, but I liked it as like a fun, cute little ongoing thing.
Yeah, the neighbor, he was just awkward. He made me feel uncomfortable in my seat. He was just... like I don't want to ever. I felt like I could understand Ewan McGregor's character like dodging and like going up against the lamppost and like seeing what the guy's doing. He's knocking on his door. But yeah, though all the characters, I love Peggy Carter. She was Haley Atwell. Mm-hmm. She was pretty good in this film. That whole kind of story that they do, I've seen it in so many movies where it's just, you know, one of the spouses is just, they're at work, they're working all the time, and they come home and their work has put them into some sort of a jam or a bind, and they end up not telling their significant other, and the significant other is giving them a hard time because they need to do this, and you can see the person just feels trapped. And I just felt out, my heart cried out for Christopher Robin. Just felt so bad because he was getting beaten at both ends of the stick.
I thought it was Evelyn.
Evelyn?
Yeah, Evelyn was his wife's name. Beaten at both ends of the stick. Wow.
What was his wife's name?
Evelyn.
Oh, it was Evelyn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like, you know, he was getting attacked from both ends, and I just feel like in those situations, you know, just if Christopher Robin just shared what was going on with his work to his wife, I feel like, you know, they could have figured it out or worked together and got through it all. But you know, it's never the case in these movies. They don't go that way.
Yeah, fair enough, because then they don't set up the
rest of the events.
Yeah, there's no problem. But I can understand that as a complaint, because that happens in almost all these movies where if they just talked a little bit more.
But then moving on with like Winnie the Pooh, I think like his voice and his attitude was fantastic. I loved when he was like at the train station. He's like, I want what did he say? Christopher, I would like that red balloon. He's like, you don't need that balloon. He's like, I know I don't need it, but I really want one. It's fantastic. He's just speaking his mind. He's so innocent. He's not angry or anything. And just even the scene too when he's in the house and he's just, you just feel like you're cringing in your seat because he's just eating the honey and he's sliding off and he's like, your floor is really sticky, Christopher Robin. He's just stuck in the carpet and everything. It's just fantastic scenes that are shot, and I mean, the characters bounced off each other so well. Eeyore is definitely one of my favorites in this movie. Just when Christopher Robin's holding him in front of the tree trunk, everyone's inside. Eeyore's like, help me.
Yeah.
His innocent humor is something that I love in these movies, and this movie was full of innocent humor. It was just brilliantly done. So many parts just work so good with Eeyore, and even his tail when the Winslow people are pulling it out. They're like, what is this, some voodoo badge or something? But Piglet, I love Piglet. I'd have to hear his original voice so I can actually differentiate the two, because I didn't detect anything.
It's not British and it's a bit more high pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd have to listen to it so I can properly tell the difference, but I like Piglet. I thought, you know, of all the characters, I feel like Piglet is someone I could have related to in this movie when he's like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm not gonna go. And Pooh's like, come on, Piglet, we need you. He's like, oh okay. Tigger, I love Tigger. He's fantastic. I love Owl and Rabbit. I thought they looked really cool.
They look real. I liked Rabbit enough, but I thought Owl looked really, really well done. He looked like, man, if they do another Harry Potter and they needed CGI, I was like, you know, he looked phenomenal. So, yeah.
Trying to think.
Kangaroo and Roo don't really do much in it.
No, they're just kind of there. Yeah, so
which is fair enough to me. It's like that, like you didn't. The movie wasn't that's why the movie's called Christopher Robin, right? It's not about Winnie the Pooh in the game. That's what all those animated movies are for. It's called Christopher Robin, so it's his journey. So I wasn't really disappointed by the amount of screen time we got with any of them. You know, like the only one I was gonna be was Tigger, but when he goes on an adventure, it was because we got to do a lot too. But I felt like you see Tigger, and then for a while he just doesn't do that much. He says a few things, but then near the end he's doing all these shenanigans, getting them all in trouble. It's not even a huge con, I think, for me. One thing was their little chase scene with the drawer, what was it, the luggage and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I think that went on just a tad too long. Even though it's not a long movie, I thought they ran that truck for a while, and the build up, because Tigger wanted to bounce and he's bouncing and they're telling him to stop. I felt like that went on for a little while, so it's not a big enough con to like take a point off my rating. But if for a little while, I was like, okay, let's move on to the next thing, and then we got there. But yeah, Tigger is great, and he's definitely used more at the second half of the movie.
Yeah. So. I think once the characters... I thought it was funny how the girl managed to get to London before her mom, and all that chaos ensued with the
she
the
left
gang.
Before.
She did, but I feel like the car would have managed to beat her to the train station. Because she got there literally right as the girl got off the train. Just pretty coincidental timing.
Well, yeah, because that's the one. Well, yeah, because she gets there and then Evelyn goes to Obi's work, right? Ewan McGregor's work, and then where was the girl going? Wasn't she going there?
She was in the luggage at the time that was taking the luggage to Winslow Enterprises.
Maybe they just go on a different path, so that's
probably.
Why.
Yeah. But once the animals all got into the city, I loved it. Like, I guess going back a little bit earlier with Pooh in the city, and Ewan McGregor's walking with them, and he's like, hello, and the guy walks into that light pole. I love that. And just the lady that kept popping up, seeing him talking to Pooh in the telephone box, and the same on the train. Ewan McGregor's like, oh, it's nap time.
Mm-hmm.
And just with all the characters in the city, when the cop and the newspaper guy and the taxi driver.
You heard the bear. No, I didn't hear the bear. No, you saw it talking, didn't you? You know who the newspaper guy was, right?
No.
He was the guy that has one eye in Pirates of the Caribbean, the trilogy.
Oh, he was the Pirate Raggedy.
Yeah, he was the newspaper guy.
Oh,
I'm surprised that you wouldn't have caught that.
No, I didn't even notice. He needs to have the eye taken out. Yeah, Raggedy and Pintle are my favorites. Yeah, no, the characters interacting in real life was fantastic. I loved when they got to Winslow Enterprises and
such a scummy boss.
The scummy boss, yeah, he's just in there with the golf clubs, right? Like, you piece of shit, and he just throws Obi under the bus. Like, yeah, we've both been working this weekend, but he has been. I will take all the credit. You know, geez, we all had one of those bosses, and it's just go to like we need that 20% fire the people, get it done. I honestly thought that the movie was gonna go about where Obi-Wan would have thought that if he lets himself go and he quits,
yeah, I thought
he
so
would have,
too.
yeah, that would have made up for the 20%, and he would have
Yeah.
been happy, and everyone would have been happy. But I was definitely, I wish it was that easy where you can just turn a piece of paper around and be like, oh, the solution is paid vacations for your staff. You know?
I'm sure maybe mathematically if you look at it, it might work. But even then, I was like, I don't know if this would actually work. Because he's just assuming that means so everyone that goes on vacation is going to be buying their luggage, which I imagine so because we'll downgrade them. But all it takes is a few people not to. Or what if they take a vacation and they don't go anywhere, you know? They just decide to stay home.
Well, that's the thing, though, with the paid vacation. They get the paid vacation to spend it to go somewhere, and then they lower the prices of their luggage.
What if they don't go anywhere? Like, what if you got 2 weeks paid off? Like, right now, if you got 2 weeks paid off, you might not go anywhere. If you didn't even know about it, you might say, okay, sure, I'll hang out at home. Like, I'm saying, like, I guess it could work. So the weird thing is they're just, like, the reason why I don't think it's works, so they're saying, okay, we're going to take that piece and go, like, we're going to take the money here, and then we're going to give it to these people, right, for paid vacation, they're going to buy luggage, so that money's going to come back to us. But really, one, they're already at loss, so them giving them some of the money's not going to make sense, and they'll probably get half of that money, maybe that, I would hope not half, but let's say half the most. So then it gets back to them, like, they're just going to keep getting half back from the thing that they...
But eventually, the people
I don't know if it would eventually, though.
Eventually, like, they're catering to only just the super rich up high.
I guess.
So I guess it's not only their employees, but since they discount the luggage, it would target the lower income populace as well. Which I guess, like, it would be a bit of a downside.
It's not a for
first.
sure thing to work.
No, definitely not. And I mean, back then I feel like it worked much more than it would now. I mean, obviously, like I'm on vacation time right now, and I'm not getting paid nearly enough.
And you're not going anywhere. Either,
I'm not getting paid enough to go anywhere. But if it was like 5 shillings for a train ticket back in the day, I'll take that. I'll go on vacation for 5 shillings.
There you go, folks. We thought we'd be talking about economics on this review. Do you have anything else to shout out? Because obviously lots of our reviews go long, but like that's a good thing. One, with me doing Cinemia, is I'm going to be reviewing a lot of movies that honestly I don't think will be that much longer reviews, because something like The Meg and Slender Man next week we have, like, our longer reviews have always been our geek movies where we have like, we gotta talk about this character, this plot development. This is a very basic movie, and I guess I'm getting my final thoughts. This is a very basic movie, but one, I think that the reason why I think it's a very well made movie, and two, I just think it is the skin of Winnie the Pooh. It is kind of like the whole thing where maybe for me, if I'm not a big Winnie the Pooh fan, maybe I wouldn't love it as, there is a person that's not as big as a fan, maybe they wouldn't love it as much as I did. But for me, it was the shock factor of them actually making the story very personal, very emotional at times, very just sad at times. I was not expecting that at all, and I thought they used everything from the Winnie the Pooh world well. All the characters had moments. It's a charming movie. It's a movie that I think if you have a kid too as well, it's that kind of... That's also like movies nowadays that I look at things a lot differently, like especially when I watch Logan, that hits you in a different way, especially like with that movie and this movie. I have a daughter as well, so that hits me the double emotion of it. So, but even that stuff, it is like good reminders. It is that thing of like, you know, yeah, every once in a while, and I've been trying to do that in my life more recently in general, but just like, you know what, if you are, you know, just sitting on the couch, you don't need to scroll through the phone at all, you know, because I do that all the time. It's like, oh, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm going, oh, look at Twitter, look at Facebook, see what's going on, but now I do try to like, okay, put it away, there's nothing that important going on, and I think this movie is a good reminder. And yeah, like I said, I could see some people saying it's basic, but I think it's well made, well done, and to me, it's just a beautiful movie. I like the city stuff with the animals and the characters there, but I 100% love the 100 Acre Woods stuff. If I had to say, it's not even that it's a con, it's just I love that stuff so much. I'd love to see more of it there, but once again, it's a Christopher Robin movie, but I loved everything from the kind of the weird dream sequence he has underwater with Pooh to everything, the adventures. Like, I really liked it. I think for me, it was just the cinematography. It felt like this just really artsy film, and I was not expecting that either, and it was phenomenal. So yeah, I've only done this a few times this year, and I'm gonna hit it with the big 10 out of 10 because yeah, I thought about that, and I was talking about Briggs when we did Mission Impossible. My rating review systems are different than some of you. Like Briggs said, the only reason I'll give a movie a 10 is like I think he said he only give him like 5 movies out because it has to be a movie that he would, you know, feel emotionally invested in, he'd go back in and maybe buy. For me, I was going like if I have any negatives, and I don't. And for me, a 10 also, a 9 is like, okay, I could have a little negatives and would take it down. This is something like, okay, yeah, maybe the trunk scene of them jumping in was a little too long, but there's so much good, it kind of overrides any minor negatives I have this movie, and I don't really have any. This is a movie I'm going to be watching over and over, and yeah, it might be my favorite film.
I think, should I keep talking for the
Yep.
live? Oh, good, okay. I think this, for me, this movie is something I could definitely watch again and again and again. It was, you know, had me in emotionally tied. I feel like this movie just, it set the pace for so many different things. I feel like, you know, eventually when I have kids, I would be inclined to let them watch a couple of the classic Winnie the Pooh movies, and, you know, then, you know, eventually, like, conclude it with this, just so, you know, they can kind of get the gist of, you know, Winnie the Pooh and the story and adventures, and then see how it kind of concludes, but transfers over to, you know, Christopher Robin's daughter, which,
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's a. Oh, I get what you mean. Just
like in the movie.
Okay, I think you meant like we're gonna get a sequel, and I'm like, I don't think.
No, I mean, I don't think this movie's successfully going to do well enough to even warrant that.
I don't think they plan. I think it'll do good enough because it's probably a pretty low budget movie other than the CG. But I don't think it was ever planned to be a sequel or anything like that. I think it was just planned to be a one-off.
I remember when I was looking, I think it was this morning or last night, just that they were rating that, and other people have given it, like IGN gave it like a 4 out of 10. I kind of just, it was like a slap to the face. I thought, you know, that I don't really understand why they would give that. I feel like I don't understand where they're coming from, because like it's like everything that you explained. You sit down with this movie and you watch it. It pulls you in right from the beginning. Within the first 5 minutes, like it had me in tears too, and several times throughout like the film, like father and like child stuff. You know, it just those situations and those like the tension, and, you know, like when there's just other things thrown involved that just break away the relationship, it just stuff like that. Like I have a soft spot for that. I feel like it's just something that's really powerful, and just it can be upsetting, and that was another thing that just created an emotional emotional moment for this film too, because that was carried on throughout the whole thing, and yeah, just the emotion and the adventure and just so much of this film was just delivered so well. You know, it's a movie that I would love to buy. It's a movie I would love to see again. I don't see any reason. I don't see if there's any problems with this film. It was just, it was something that I wasn't expecting, and something that I walked out of the theater being very content with and enjoyed and felt very good and felt like I was very humbled and grounded. And I feel like there's a lot of movies that don't offer that enough, and I feel like it spoke to me and delivered that message that it was wanting to do and, you know, achieve for its like general audience. And so, you know, like it made me want to quit my job. so that's where I'll leave it on that. 10 out of 10.
Whoa! Yeah. I don't think there's been a movie that's ever just got straight 10 out of 10, but, you know, it's probably just because it's two of us, so that's why it counts. But Yeah, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Like I said, remember when you said you thought this review was going to be 2 hours?
I didn't say 2 hours.
You said hour and a half to 2 hours.
We're at 46 minutes, 32 seconds.
So thank you very much for tuning in this. You can find the links below. Usually I throw Taylor, but we're on a tight schedule. We got some other stuff to record, some other stuff to do, some other busy geek stuff. What's that? I don't know. What's the secret? Oh boy. Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, next week we'll be back with a Meg review for sure. Let's see how that goes. Possibly Slenderman if Kelowna gets it in our theater. And yeah, let us know what you thought down below. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, share, whatever you're listening on, whether that's YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, the whole shebang. So thank you very much, and we will see you next week, and we promise you it will not be boring.
Bye. Slenderman Kelowna. Let's see.